Assalamualaikum to Madam Raja Norazila binti Raja Yunus. We are from group number 1 and today we will do a presentation on our case study for course subject DCC 40152 Water Supply and Wastewater Engineering. Our group consists of 3 members, Fatin Elisa binti Rusli with registration number 15DKA21F1009, me Amalina binti Sini Ibramsa with registration number 15DKA21F1018, and lastly, Maisara binti Zairul Edham with registration number 15DKA21F1049. Before we begin, let me give a brief outline on what we will be presenting today. First of all is introduction to water and wastewater engineering. Next, location of study. Then the courses and types of materials. Later, we'll talk about the sampling, testing, and data analysis. After that, we'll talk about the main causes, effects, and solutions to water pollutions. And lastly, the reference we collected and used for our case study. First and foremost, let me talk about the introduction to water and wastewater. In rapid growth of urbanization and increasing population, the sources of clean water continuously decrease, which leads to science and engineering of wastewater. Thus, water treatment has been greatly used for the purpose of maintaining the good quality of water. Generally, wastewater can be defined as liquid which contains impurities or pollutants in the form of solids, liquids, or gases such as concentration that is harmful if disposed into the environment. Impurities which contain in wastewater involves solids such as organic and inorganic compounds that are trapped in water in the form of suspended solids, colloidal, or the combination of both. Without treatment of wastewater before the process of discharge to river, where the main source of water for daily living and industrial use is critical, it will cause pollution to aquatic environment. Now we will move on to the next content where I will talk about the location of our study. The location of study where we chose was at a local restaurant in Tanjung Malim, since it is not too far from Sultan Azlan Shah Polytechnic. We collected some wastewater sample from the drain around the restaurant and stored it into a 1.25-liter plastic bottle for this case study report. These are the pictures for key plan layout and site plan layout. The 3 of us examined the area around the restaurant and came across a big drain with wastewater. After a thorough investigation, we concluded that there are some activities that lead to major water pollution at the area, and that is the stubborn personality of the villagers, who has a bad habit of throwing garbage and plastics inside the drain, which causes clogged drains and filthy wastewater. Not only dry garbages, but leftover food waste and various objects are also thrown away until they fill the drains and paths behind the restaurant. This is maybe due to the fact that the drain is situated around the restaurant, that there are many food waste. Next, Fatin Elisa will talk about the next content where she will explain the result of our sampling, testing, and data analysis of our wastewater sample. Thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you, Amalina, for your part. Let me introduce myself. First, my name is Fatin Elisa binti Rusli, and my registration number is 15DKA21F1009. Now, I will continue on to the next content, where I will talk about the causes and types of materials. In general, water pollution occurs when harmful substances, often chemicals or microorganisms, contaminate a stream, river, lake, ocean, aquifer, or other body of water, degrading water quality and rendering it toxic to human or environment. For our study, since many villagers throw leftover food waste and other trashes into the drain, it results in clogged drains. In addition to the release of substances such as chemicals, trash, or microorganisms, water bodies can be polluted by a wide variety of substances, including pathogenic, microorganisms, putrescible, organic waste, fertilizers, and plant nutrients, toxic chemicals, sediments, heat, petroleum oil, and radioactive substances. Since there are many stores nearby, it may be possible that all these materials can be found in the drain. Now, I will talk about the result we have gotten from our sampling, testing, and data analysis. For our sampling and testing, we successfully managed to conduct turbidity, pH, and DO as in short form for dissolved oxygen tests on our wastewater samples at the Water Quality Laboratory of Sultan Azan Shah Polytechnic under the guidance of our lecturer, Madam Raja Nur Azila binti Raja Yunus. Based on the data we gathered, we got as follows. For the turbidity test, the class for sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3 are all in class 2A, based on the National Water Quality Standard for Malaysia. The average is 471 in class 2A. Its uses is as follows. First, water supply 2, conventional treatment required. Next, fishery 2, sensitive aquatic species. For the pH test, the class for sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3 are all in class 4, based on the National Water Quality Standards for Malaysia. The average is 5.58, class 4. Its uses is as follows. Irrigation. For the DO, dissolved oxygen test, the class for sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3 are all in class 1 based on the National Water Quality Standards for Malaysia. The average is 7.64 in class 1. Its uses is as follows. Firstly, conservation of natural environment. Secondly, water supply, practically no treatment necessary. And lastly, fishery, very sensitive to aquatic species. All in all, to conclude, it can be said that the wastewater sample is severely filthy and cannot be used for domestic purpose. Based on the National Water Quality Standards for Malaysia, it is regarded as not safe to tamper with. That's all from me. Next, Maisara will talk about the causes, effects, and solutions to water pollution. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatin, for the wonderful talk. Now, let me move on to the next part where I will be talking about the main causes, effects, and solutions to water pollution. Throughout our observations, there are many potential causes that leads to water pollution there. First is domestic sewage, as organic are decomposed naturally in the sewage by bacteria and other microorganisms. The dissolved oxygen content of the water is depleted. Next is solid waste. As mentioned earlier, there are many leftover foods from nearby restaurants as well as miscellaneous items inside the drain. Land pollution can also become water pollution if the trash or other debris is exposed to body of water. Following that is sediment. Sediment are slip result from the soil erosions or construction activity can be carried into water body by surface runoff. It can disrupt the reproductive cycles of fish and other forms of life. Lastly is toxic waste and oil waste. Source of toxic chemicals include improperly disposed wastewater from industrial plants and chemical process facilities such as lead, mercury, chromium, as well as surface runoff containing pesticides used on agriculture areas and suburban lawns in like Tanjung Malim. Next, I will be talking about the effects. The impact of water pollution is determined by the type and concentration of contaminants. The location of water body is also an essential element in determining pollution level. Since we choose a drain as our location, it can be said that it's one of the biggest areas where pollution usually happens. Water pollution has a significant impact on aquatic life. It disrupts their metabolism and conduct, resulting in disease and death. It can also cause a big impact on the food chain. Pollution affects humans, and fecal matter in water source can cause disease such as hepatitis. Thus, water contamination has the potential to severely impact, modify, and disrupt the environment. Solid waste pollution is unsightly and damaging to the health of aquatic ecosystem and harm wildlife directly. It endangers the quality of lakes and streams. Lastly, oil slicks eventually move toward shore, harming aquatic life and damaging recreation areas. It can block the sunlight, which kills plants growing in the water and affect fishing and hunting. So, the solution for these problems is we are all accountable to some degree for today's water pollution problem. There are some simple ways we can do to prevent water contamination or at least limit our contribution to it. First of all, is discourage firms from disposing of their trash in drains, rivers, lakes, and oceans. We must make sure that we do not dispose garbage, food waste, items, and byproduct into drains, river, or other water environments. Next, we should be responsible in use of fertilizer and pesticides. Through the reduction in the use of fertilizer and pesticide, the contamination of the groundwater through nitrates and phosphates can be significantly reduced. We can also minimize stormwater runoff. Water pollution from stormwater runoff and the resulting sediment pollution can be avoided by private persons as well as by big firms. Then we should replace fossil fuels by renewable energies. This is the right approach in order to reduce water pollution from acid rain. Last but not least, we need to convince others to the ultimate weapon to fight water pollution is to convince people to change their behavior. For example, villagers of Tanjung Malim must become aware of the fact that reducing trash can be a major contribution to reduction in water pollution. Moreover, disposing of different kinds of trash appropriately makes a big difference. We all must come together and build teamwork to contribute to this. So, telling our close family, friends, and cousins is the best way to overcome water pollution from becoming a major problem in the near future. So, this is our reference for our presentation. That's all from all of us. Thank you.